Newt Gingrich Trump vs. Omar, AOC. Editors note the opinions in this article are the authors, as published by our content partner, and do not necessarily represent the views of MSN or Microsoft. Who are the real American patriots? Who are the real racists? These two questions will play a big role in the 2020 election. The left is desperate to turn any traditional patriotic appeal into an act of racism. The left is desperate to smear Republicans and moderate Democrats as racists. Part of this desperation is in the left's inability to debate the facts and their hope that strong smears can shame their opponents out of broaching the argument. Part of this desperation is in the left's growing realization that President Trump and the Republicans are beginning to attract minority support in a serious way. The 2018 election was a watershed in the shift of minority voters toward Republicans. Consider the example of the very left-wing, African-American female candidate for governor in Georgia. She alienated in Florida. A left-wing African-American candidate for governor lost almost 1 out of 5 African-American female votes because of his opposition to school choice. In Michigan, a charismatic Republican African-American veteran and businessman, John James, received more votes for the Senate in Michigan than any Republican since the year 2000. James is running all around the country. President Trump is attracting Latinos to his rallies in record numbers. There is strong support. The left's reaction to these threats has been hysteria. Screaming racist you, which the left-wing propaganda machine did relentlessly this week, is their most common effort to shut up conservatives in general and President Trump in particular. Defending the flag is racist in this left-wing world. Defending George, yet the real racists are on the left. Consider Massachusetts. Consider both the racism and the fascist arrogance in that statement. First, Presley asserts the right to define the authenticity of voices. Second, she defines each voice by skin color, religion, or sexual orientation rather than the content of their character. Third, she dismisses or dehumanizes everyone who fails to meet her standard. Consider her arrogance just in regard to the African American community. By her standard, you can go through each of Presley's defined subgroups and find people who deeply disagree with her. One of the keys to the 2020 campaign will be who the American people conclude are authentically patriotic and what views are actually racist. President Trump and Republicans will be defined as genuinely patriotic. The left will grow his. The election of 2020 will be one of the most defining elections in American history. If the left succeeds in making its racist charge stick, it could seal off minority voters from even considering voting for President Trump and other candidates on the Republican ticket. On the other hand, if Republicans successfully answer the racist attack and then prove that the Democrats have become the party of radical proposals that would destroy America as we know it, then the Democrats could find themselves losing everywhere except on college campuses and in some radical neighborhoods. Patriotism and racism will be key arguments over the next 15 months.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.